Man cannot discover new oceans unless he has the courage to lose sight of the shore. In the mid-20th century, Swiss psychologist Marie-Louise von Franz observed something disturbing. A generation of men and women who had reached physical adulthood, but remained psychologically frozen in adolescence. They occupied adult bodies, but their minds had never matured. Von Franz considered this problem so urgent that in 1959, she delivered a series of lectures on what Carl Jung called the Puer Aeternus, the eternal child, the man who, like Peter Pan, never grows up. Today, her predictions have come true, and the epidemic has only worsened. The term Puer Aeternus comes from Latin, meaning eternal child. Originally used in mythology to describe a god who remains forever young, Jung adopted it for psychological purposes. Von Franz defined the Puer Aeternus as the individual who remains too long in adolescent psychology. All those characteristics that are normal in a youth of 17 or 18 continue into later life, accompanied in most cases by too great a dependence on the mother. Look around you. Von Franz predicted this would spread, and it has. Young men today struggle academically, socially, spiritually, economically, and sexually. They remain at home well into their 20s and 30s, preferring the comfortable confines of parental care to the unknown waters of independence. Instead of striving to create something meaningful, many retreat into the virtual worlds of the internet. Pornography and video games become passive escapes, a life without direction or purpose, except the pursuit of momentary pleasure to numb the pain. Given the scope of this crisis, it's not absurd to claim that the Puer Aeternus problem is the defining neurosis of our modern age. To understand the man-child, we must understand the mother complex. As von Franz observed, the man who has a complex with his mother will always have to fight against his tendency to become a Puer Aeternus. Throughout our evolutionary history, mothers and fathers assumed different parental roles. Mothers maintained more physical contact with their children, more comforting, more empathetic with the child's emotional and physical needs. This extremely intimate relationship with the mother creates in the child a lasting emotional imprint, a powerful psychological bond that psychologists call the mother complex. The child's experience of the mother is internalized as a complex, an accumulation of emotionally charged energy that escapes the control of the ego. Fathers traditionally provided resources, protection, but above all, guidance. More specifically, the father's role has been to help the son break free from the dependent bond with the mother and help him face the world as an independent, functional adult. In most cultures throughout history, individuals pass from adolescence to adulthood through rites of initiation. The primary goal of all these rituals was to separate the young man from his mother, first physically, then psychologically. As Mircea Eliade explains in Rites and Symbols of Initiation, a typical initiation proceeded as follows. In the middle of the night, the tribe's elders, dressed as gods or demons, would tear the youth from his bed. It was the last time the young man would see his mother, sometimes for months. They would take him to a deep cave, bury him alive, or plunge him into some form of literal or symbolic darkness. This stage represented the symbolic death of the youth's childhood, the loss of paradise, and the joys of irresponsibility. The message was clear: you cannot go back home. After the symbolic death of childhood, a rebirth ceremony marked the transformation of the youth into a mature adult. The elders taught him, then sent him into the wilderness, where he spent months fighting for survival. Upon his return, he was welcomed into the tribe as an adult member. From that moment, the young man was expected to have overcome his mother complex. Immaturity and dependence were no longer acceptable. Given the intensity and sometimes violent nature of these initiation processes, it seems our ancestors understood that separating a young man from his mother was a monumental task, requiring deliberate measures. The lack of tribal elders and initiation rites means young men today must turn to their own fathers for initiation into adulthood. Unfortunately, not all fathers can provide this guidance. To do so, the father must be strong and independent, emotionally present in his son's life. He must be able to show by example that there is something worth fighting for in this world. Because to successfully encourage a young man to break from the comforts of childhood, one must be convinced there is somewhere worth going. Sons need to see their fathers in the world. They need them to show how to behave, how to work, how to recover from adversity. They need the activation of their inherent masculinity, both through external modeling and direct affirmation. James Hollis, in Under Saturn's Shadow, cites an extensive study in which only 17% of American men reported having a positive relationship with their father during youth. In most cases, the father was absent, either physically or emotionally. Reflecting on this statistic, Hollis writes, "If this startling statistic even approaches the truth, something large and tragic has happened to one of nature's critical balances." It's no surprise the man-child problem occupies such a prominent place in our era. The effects of an absent father are compounded by the impact this situation has on the mother. A situation is created where, first, the mother tends to be more present in child-rearing to compensate for the lack of a masculine figure in the son's life. Second, the father's failure to provide love and support to the mother creates in her an emotional hunger that she tries to satisfy through her relationship with her son. This situation creates a perfect storm in which the mother becomes what Jungians call the devouring mother, overprotecting and suffocating her son, involving herself in every aspect of his life. Often such a mother, despite the best intentions, unconsciously manipulates her son to continue depending on her into adulthood. Contemplating the secret conspiracy between mother and son and how each helps the other avoid life, Carl Jung writes, "A boy raised this way, who never had the opportunity to venture alone, to sustain himself, to fail and correct his own mistakes, or to make decisions for himself, becomes an adult incapable of dealing with and overcoming the inevitable challenges and struggles of life. The healthy desire to adapt to reality and individuate, which implies fear, pain, and conflict, will be replaced by the need to remain attached to the mother, whether biological or a symbolic substitute." In other words, when a young man reaches adulthood with a strong mother complex, he will not seek to develop his independence and evolve his consciousness. Instead, he will be possessed by what Jung called the spirit of regression, which threatens us with enslavement to the mother and dissolution and extinction in the unconscious. The Puer Aeternus avoids the challenges of adult life. He lives in fantasy, always waiting for the perfect opportunity, the perfect relationship, the perfect career, but never committing to anything real. He remains suspended in potential, forever preparing, forever dreaming, but never actualizing. So what is the antidote? The answer lies in conscious initiation, in deliberately choosing to leave the mother's world and enter the father's world. This means, first, acknowledge the problem. Recognize the ways you may still be psychologically dependent, whether on your actual mother or on comfort, safety, and the avoidance of risk. Second, embrace responsibility. Take on burdens voluntarily. Commit to something difficult and see it through, even when it becomes painful. Third, find mentors. Seek out older men who embody the mature masculine. Learn from them. Let them initiate you through example and guidance. Fourth, face the abyss. Enter your own symbolic wilderness. Put yourself in situations where you must rely on yourself, where comfort is not an option and growth is the only way forward. Fifth, build something real. Stop living in fantasy and potential. Choose one path and commit to it fully, even if it's imperfect. Action, not endless preparation, is what creates the adult. The journey from boy to man is not a natural progression. It requires a death, the death of the child who wants to remain safe and comfortable. And it requires a rebirth into the man who can stand alone, who can face suffering, who can create meaning in a chaotic world. This is a difficult truth to assimilate. Most avoid it and resist for years, but you've watched until the end, which means you're ready to begin. The question is, do you have the courage to lose sight of the shore, to discover new oceans? The choice is yours.